So we just saw the awesome demo for Homefront Revolution,
Cool.
and it looks really great. So first off, let me just ask, what was it like taking on this IP that already had this fan base, but you guys kind of realized you could improve upon?
Yeah, for us it was really exciting. We all saw the huge potential in what Homefront had to offer. It was a game that maybe didn't live up to the expectations that a lot of people had, but it definitely resonated with a lot of the players, not only in the US but around the world. So for us, we were really excited when we were able to take this on and work on it. So us being Crytek, we wanted to bring the AAA visual quality as well as the standards that people expect from Crytek into this interesting, unique premise that was set in the first Homefront. So it was important for us to use the power of the CryEngine and push it as far as we possibly could. So one of the things that we were really interested in from the first Homefront was not only the premise, but also the aspect of guerrilla warfare. All of a sudden you weren't a military trained, a hardened military soldier. You didn't have all of the weapons and equipment at your disposal. You needed to kind of explore the world and try to get what you wanted to out of the world and build your own toolkit, and that's what we wanted to push as far as possible. So we kept that guerrilla warfare pillar and built a game around it that we wanted to allow the player to explore and interact with things whenever they wanted to, however they wanted to. It was kind of rolling back to the earlier days of Crytek, where we had games like Far Cry and Crysis, which kind of had that DNA of sandbox spaces where the player could approach a scenario however they wanted to, and that's what we've come back to in Homefront.
Now, let me ask, I love that idea that you guys are doing more of a free roam thing. So, like, in between, like major story missions, do you go and deliver papers, or are there like these little side missions? Like, how does the free world act?
Sure. So we've got a main mission story thread, which pushes the story forward. These missions are basically the backbone of the game. Then we've got this free roam world where the player can go and interact with all sorts of cool things. They'll have side missions, they'll have jobs, they'll have different quests that they can go on. They can just go exploring the world if they want to. We've built an expansive Philadelphia. There's a lot for the player to go out and see. We've got loads of different spaces within Philadelphia that are very cool to explore. And like I mentioned earlier, exploration is a big part of the game. We want the player to get out there, look for things that they can utilize, because scavenging is what you're going to build your weapons through. It's what you're going to build your equipment through. That it's going to be the stuff that allows you to tackle the KPA, which has far superior technology. It has drones. There's no way you can take these guys on without having something. And we want to encourage the player to go out and create their own equipment, because that's what being a guerrilla fighter is all about. You don't have the same weapons and technology as what the enemy has, so you have to go out and do the best that you can with what's available to you.
Now, let me ask, the first game was set in Colorado, and this game is set in Philadelphia. Is there going to be any sort of reference, or are we going to see like the anything from the original game in this new game, or is it totally new?
So we are basically taking the premise, and then the rest of the game is pretty much a new game. We've got new characters, it's a new location. Everything that happens in between is stuff that I'm sure will be revealed at some point. Well, I'm not going to talk too much about that. In essence, it's mainly the premise that universe that was created in the first Homefront. That's what we've taken and we built it, and we've added the Crytek stamp on it per se.
So there, in the demo I saw, there was a lot of really great stuff going on with the gun modifications, in the middle of the game, with you being able to like put on your scope, take it off, put on a handle. Yeah. How far deep does that go?
Weapon customization is a big part of, well, not only Homefront, but it's been a big part of all of the games that we've worked on at Crytek. It's something that I'm sure if you play some of our older games, you'll see it as well. We want to give control to the player. We want it to be flexible. We want them to be able to mold their equipment into whatever they want it to be. Obviously, everyone has their own play style. Everyone has their own preferences. By giving the control back to the player and not having to force them to do anything apart from what they want to do is a big part of what we're trying to do, and the weapon customization is just one example of that. On a bigger scale, we're doing that primarily with the missions as well, with the open world, with the free roaming world. We will give the player the tools that they need. By the end of the day, it's up to them how they want to use it. There isn't a wrong or right way, it's just the player's way.
Now, let me ask about the technology that the KAP has. You know, we saw, obviously, there's these drones that are going around and checking people out, and there's obviously like tanks. Are we going to see, are we going like real future? I know it's like 2029. Can you talk about any of the other machines that they might have that you have to do battle with?
Yeah, I can't talk too much about everything, but I can tell you that they have a lot of drone technology at their disposal. They've got several different drones, different sizes, all with different purposes. We've got Seekers, which you might have seen in that demo. The Seekers are kind of the drones that keep an eye on the day-to-day life of what people are doing on the streets. If it spots something that's not cool with the KPA, it'll call out for reinforcements to arrive. We've got Wolverines, which are pretty much they do the same thing. They scope out the streets, but they actually have the firepower at their disposal, so they can take out people. We've got Goliaths, which you might have seen in the trailer, which we put out. That is a big bad drone, and you don't want to go head up against it because it's very, very powerful. The KPA have far superior technology, far superior drones, and they use it. They use it to make sure that no one steps out of line. And in that kind of environment, it's very difficult for a group of resistance fighters to actually operate. So you need to go and use those resistance tactics, those guerrilla tactics, where you hit the enemy when they're least expecting it and then mold back into the population before they can respond. Because if they do catch you and they do respond, they will respond in full force, and that's when you're in trouble. So we wanted to make sure that we really get that essence of what it feels like or means to be a guerrilla fighter.
Now, if you're in a situation, like, do you guys have any abilities to like call in backup if you're in the middle of a gunfight, or if you're by yourself, or you're just all on your own?
Sure. So we've got several different apps. You might have seen the smartphone in the game. What that allows us to do is it allows us to give the player several different upgrade features that they can utilize to assist them along the way in whatever they're doing in the world, whether that be combat, whether that be scoping out a place before they're going on a mission. The phone can be upgraded and customized through these apps, and each of these apps will allow you to use certain resistance features, such as backup and stuff. I can't go into too much detail of what these will be exactly, but there is a lot of cool stuff for the player to explore.
Now, I got to ask about multiplayer, of course. Now, I would say one of the hallmarks of the original game, the first Homefront, was giant maps, tons of people, right? Like a ton of players. Can you give us an idea of the online play that we're going to see?
So we're not talking too much about the multiplayer aspect of things, but I can confirm we have 4-player co-op. The idea is that the free roaming world that we have in the single-player campaign is available to your friends as well. We have a separate co-op mode, which allows you and 3 other friends to jump into this world, do missions together. You don't necessarily have to be together all the time, but the idea is this world is available to you and your friends, and everything that you do in it can influence one another's situation in that world. Because at the end of the day, this is a living, breathing world that we have. All of the AI, all of the civilians in this space, we don't control what they're doing. Life will continue. So if your friends are doing something in the world, they will respond to that, and that may in turn affect what you're doing in the world. So that space of Philadelphia it's a very expansive space, but there are a lot of powerful systems at play in the background that allow this to be a living, breathing ecosystem, and a very interesting space for you and your friends to explore.
And let me ask, I know like when you destroy security cameras and you do things to defeat the KAP, I know it changes, or KPA, I know it changes like the world around you. How does the world evolve by you basically earning points and being the good guy? Yeah,
so the idea obviously is you're trying to ignite a revolution. So everything that you do will impact the world around you as well as the people that inhabit this world. So everything, no matter how small, whether that's destroying a camera with a brick or whether it's taking out a KPA official, all of these things work towards bringing up the uprising in a specific area of Philadelphia. As you raise the uprising by doing all of these certain things, the people come out on the streets, they will respond, they'll feel that, oh yeah, we have a chance here. You'll start seeing a change from what the environment was in the first hour of the game to, say, the 9th, 10th hour. It'll be a completely different feeling. And the idea is that we want the players to try and involve themselves in doing these things so that the world feels alive to them, because it is living off of what they're doing. They have an impact and they can change how this world is responding to them. So it's very exciting for us, because it's a world where we hope that the player will feel like a guerrilla fighter, where they can actually make a difference. So yeah.